All right, let's be on the record in 4 cases, those being 17CR494, 17CR724, 19CR887, and 20CR350.
Estamos en el acta para 4 casos. Los números del caso son 17CR494, 17CR724, 19CR887 y 20CR350.
All captioned State of Kansas versus Cesar Torres-Suarez. Would the parties announce their
Go ahead, Your Honor.
Would the parties announce their appearances, please?
El estado de Kansas, en contra de Cesar Torres-Suarez. Le pido a las partes que por favor se presenten.
May it please the court, the state of Kansas appears by Assistant District Attorney Nicholas Campbell via Zoom.
Con la venia de señoría, el abogado fiscal Nicholas Campbell comparece de parte de la fiscalía por parte de Zoom.
May it please the court, the defendant appears by Zoom and by counsel Philip Sedgwick also by Zoom.
Con la venia de señoría, el acusado César Torres-Suarez comparece por parte de Zoom junto con su abogado Philip Sedgwick, también por Zoom.
In case number 2019 CR887, we are here for a sentencing. In all other cases on a revocation, the 2020 case has been dismissed.
Para el caso 19CR887 estamos aquí para la imposición de la sentencia. Para los otros casos estamos aquí con respecto a una revocación y el caso del 2020 ha sido retirado.
The parties appeared by Zoom on July 3rd, at which time the defendant changed his plea from one of not guilty to guilty.
Las partes comparecieron por parte de Zoom el 3 de julio para hacer el cambio de una declaración de no culpable a culpable.
The court inquired and accepted that, ordered a pre-sentence investigation and set sentencing for today.
El juez interrogó con respecto a esto y aceptó la declaración y ordenó a que se llevara a cabo un informe precondenatorio, PSI por sus siglas en inglés, y programó la sentencia para el día de hoy.
I've received that PSI. The critical findings are as follows.
He recibido el informe precondenatorio y los hallazgos críticos son los siguientes.
The primary count of conviction is one of eluding a police officer, which is a severity level 9 person felony.
El cargo principal es eludir a un policía, a un agente policial. Es un nivel 9 delito mayor en contra de una persona.
The defendant's criminal history score was found to be that of G as in George.
El puntuaje de antecedentes penales del acusado es G, como la palabra Jorge.
That would leave the defendant with a presumed probation sentence with a presumed range of 7, 8, or 9 months in the Department of Corrections with a maximum good time of 20%.
Esto le da una presunción de libertad condicional al acusado, como la sentencia sería entre unos presuntos 7, 8 o 9 meses en el Departamento de Correcciones. Con buen comportamiento sería de 20% que se le daría al acusado.
However, special rule number 9 applies, that being that this crime was committed while on felony probation, which destroys the presumption of probation.
Sin embargo, hay una regla especial, el número 9, con respecto a delitos mayores, como se quebrantó la libertad vigilada, se elimina la presunción de libertad vigilada.
If he has to do this time, he will be subject to post-release supervision duration of 12 months. If he's granted probation, that would be for a period of 12 months to community corrections.
Si tiene que cumplir el tiempo, tendría que también cumplir un plazo posterior de libertad de 12 meses. Y si se le otorga la libertad, sería una libertad de 12 meses que tendría que pasar primero en el Departamento de Correcciones.
Mr. Campbell, I'd ask you if you had a chance to review the pre-sentence investigation. Do you have any additions, corrections, or challenges?
Señor Campbell, le pregunto si usted ha repasado el informe precondenatorio, ¿tiene algo que agregar, algún cambio o alguna disputa?
Your Honor, I have reviewed it and I don't have any additions or corrections, just one comment.
Sí, señoría, lo he repasado, no tengo nada que agregar, ninguna corrección, solo quiero decir un comentario.
Which you also covered, which is that this is a no presumption case per special rule.
Que es un caso de no presunción por la regla especial.
Thank you. Mr. Sedgwick, same question.
Señor Sedgwick, la misma pregunta para usted.
Yes, I have had an opportunity to review it, and I have reviewed it with my client, and there are no additions or corrections.
Sí, he tenido la oportunidad de repasarlo y lo repasé junto con mi cliente y no hay nada que se debe agregar y ninguna corrección.
Mr. Torres-Suarez, your lawyer tells me that he went over this pre-sentence investigation with you, particularly your criminal history, and you don't believe that any of it is not, you believe that it is all correct. Is that so?
Señor Torres Suárez, su abogado me acaba de informar de que él repasó el informe precondenatorio con usted, que habló con usted sobre su historial, su puntuaje de antecedentes penales y que no hay ninguna corrección o que usted está de acuerdo con el informe.
Correcto.
Correct.
Thank you.
Gracias.
I will adopt the findings of the pre-sentence investigation for today's hearing. Any other comments on sentencing, Mr. Campbell?
Adaptaré los hallazgos del informe precondenatorio para la audiencia del día de hoy. ¿Hay algún otro comentario que usted quiera dar, señor Campbell?
And Your Honor, I would ask that you follow the plea agreement in this case, sentence him to the standard term of 8 months.
Señoría, le pido que siga el convenio declaratorio que lo sentencia al número estándar de los 8 meses.
And also per the plea to sentence him to KDOC instead of probation. In this case, would run consecutive to his revo, which we can deal with at that time.
Y también que se haga a cabo la KDOC en lugar de la libertad condicional y que la pena sea consecutiva con la revocación.
Thank you. Mr. Sedgwick, your comments.
Gracias, señor Sedgwick. Sus comentarios.
Your Honor, that is a correct statement of the plea. It is my understanding it is.
Phil, I'm sorry, you got so much static, I can't understand you.
Okay. Understanding of the plea as well. And that is my client. I believe that is my client's also his understanding of the plea.
The interpreter did not understand.
Mr. Sedgwick, your microphone for some reason suddenly is intelligible. Can you give that a try again?
Let me try something real quick. You know what's going on here. You hear me better now?
No. No.
We try going out and then back in.
I think I need to do, and I forgot to put this on Wi-Fi.
All right. He's coming back.
Judge, while we're waiting, I just want us to compare notes. You have the 10 and the, wait a minute. The 10 and the 1 are off and all we have left is the 11.
I haven't
Okay.
looked. I'll look back and see.
Okay.
Phil, give it a try now.
Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Okay.
All right. We're back on the record in the previously called cases. All the parties are present. Mr. Sedgwick, you were about to make your comments upon sentencing.
Estamos en el acta de nuevo. Las partes iban a dar los comentarios. Señor Sedgwick, de su comentario con respecto a la sentencia.
Your Honor, that is a correct statement of the plea agreement.
Su señoría, esa declaración es correcta con respecto al convenio declaratorio.
Mr. Suarez Torres, now is your opportunity to tell me anything you want me to know in mitigation of your sentence today.
Señor Suárez Torres, ahora usted tendrá la oportunidad de contarme todo lo que usted quiera decirme con respecto a la sentencia para mitigar la sentencia.
No tengo nada que decir.
I have nothing to say.
Parties know any legal reason why I should not now proceed to sentencing Mr. Sedgwick?
Señor,
No, Your Honor.
¿sabe alguna razón legal por la cual no se debe imponer la sentencia? No, su señoría.
For the sole count of eluding a police officer, severity level 9 person felony with a criminal history score of G, the defendant will be sentenced to the standard range of 8 months. He's eligible for up to 20% good time credit and will receive jail time credit for all of the time that he has spent in. When he finishes his sentence, he'll be subject to post-release supervision duration of 12 months. He is not applying for probation, and probation would not be appropriate in this case. There will be no probation.
Your Honor, the interpreter needs a moment.
Please.
Para el cargo único de eludir a un oficial de la policía, sería un nivel 9, delito mayor en contra de una persona, y con un puntuaje de antecedentes penales G, el acusado tendrá que cumplir 8 meses de encarcelamiento, se le dará 20% por buen comportamiento, también recibirá crédito de encarcelamiento por el tiempo ya cumplido, tendrá un plazo posterior de libertad de 12 meses, no podrá solicitar la libertad vigilada, no es apropiado que pida la libertad condicional.
And Your Honor,
Yes.
one comment. You mentioned that the credit would go on this case. Per law, this would be consecutive to his revocation case of 11 months. And per plea, that credit would go on that revo case, not this one.
Okay.
Su señoría,
All right.
un comentario. Usted dice que este crédito recibirá crédito por este caso, pero según la ley, la pena tiene que ser consecutiva a la revocación, así que a los 11 meses.
All right. Mr. Torres-Suarez, it doesn't seem like you have a lot of time left to do. What is your plan to make ends meet when you get out of custody?
Bueno, señor Torres Suárez, no le falta mucho tiempo más por cumplir. ¿Cuál es su plan para mantenerse después de que salga de la prisión?
Trabajar,
Work.
trabajar y estar con mi familia.
I want to work and I want to be with my family.
Tengo 2
All right.
hijos.
I have 2 children.
All right. Mr. Sedgwick, is there any kind of immigration hold on your client?
Señor Sedgwick, ¿hay algún tipo de orden de detención de inmigración en contra de su cliente?
I believe so.
The
You're breaking up again. You do or do not?
You said do not, Phil?
Your Honor,
Dice
I
que-
just checked. Sorry. Your Honor, I just checked Blue Horse. There is an ICE hold.
Señoría, acabo de revisar y sí hay una orden de detención de inmigración.
All right. Well, given that, I don't think there's any reasonable way to expect that Mr. Torres-Suarez is going to be able to pay the costs in this case. So I'm going to waive costs, waive his attorney fee. He's already in the database as a felon. I'm not going to order any fine. So I think that should leave him without any kind of costs in this matter. I just don't believe, since it appears that he'll be removed from the country, that there's any reasonable way to expect that. So that will be the court's order today, waiving all of those costs and fees. All right. Go ahead, Miss Olympia.
Bueno, tomando esto en cuenta, no existe ninguna manera razonable para que el señor Torres Suárez pueda pagar por estos costos, así que voy a retirar el costo, los costos judiciales, el costo del abogado. Él ya es parte de la base de datos porque es un delincuente de delitos mayores. Tampoco se impondrá una pena o ningún costo en este caso porque él será removido, deportado del país. Así que mi orden judicial el día de hoy es que voy a retirar estos costos y estas multas.
As to the other cases, 2020 CR350 has been dismissed.
Con respecto a los otros casos, el 2020 CR250 ha sido sobresido.
2017 CR494 has been closed unsuccessfully.
El de 2017 CR494 se ha cerrado sin éxito.
And at the plea, the defendant stipulated to the violations in 2017 CR887.
Y la declaración, el acusado estipuló el caso 2017 CR887.
Your Honor, I believe you're talking about 17CR724. The current criminal case that we just did sentencing was the 887 2019 case.
I'm sorry, I stand corrected.
Su señoría, estamos hablando del caso de 17 CR724, es el caso actual. Acabamos de sentenciarlo por el caso 17 CR887. Entiendo.
It was 17 CR724 in which the defendant stipulated to the violations.
Es el caso 17 CR724, el cual el acusado estipuló los quebrantamientos.
Comments upon disposition, Mr. Campbell.
Señor Campbell, comentario antes de la disposición.
Your Honor, per plea, we'd ask that he be revoked to his original sentence of 11 months. I believe his credit will be 270 days, which is almost the entire sentence, but KDOC will determine that.
Su señoría, por parte de declaración, le pido que se revoque la pena original de los 11 meses y que se le dé crédito por los 270 días cumplidos.
And normally I'd ask that all costs and fees go to collections, but obviously I'll leave that in your discretion.
Y normalmente pido que todos los costos y multas se le manden a las colecciones, pero este tema ya se abordó.
Mr. Sedgwick, do you wish to make any comment as to disposition of the revocation case?
Señor Sedgwick, ¿le gustaría decir algo con respecto al caso de la revocación?
Still can't hear you, Mr. Sedgwick. If you want to make a statement about revo, give us a thumbs up. If you don't, give us a thumbs down.
Si no se escucha, señor Sedgwick, si quiere dar una declaración, denos una señal que sí, o si no, díganos una señal que no con el dedo.
No comment, Your Honor.
No comentarios, su señoría.
Mr. Suarez Torres, do you wish to make any statement before I decide what to do with your revocation case?
Señor Suárez Torres, ¿quiere decir algo, algún comentario antes de que yo decida qué hacer con su caso de la revocación?
No.
No.
All right. I will follow the plea agreement. I'm going to revoke the defendant's probation order that he served the original 11 months, give him credit for all that time that he's been in. These sentences by operation of law are required to run consecutively, and they are so ordered. I think in the old case, costs and fees were already assessed, so I'm not going to do anything with that other than refer them to collections upon the defendant's release. All right. Mr. Suarez Torres, as to Well, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Tyner, and
Thank you, Your Honor. Voy a seguir el convenio declaratorio, voy a revocar la libertad condicional y le voy a imponer la pena original de los 11 meses. Se le dará crédito por el tiempo ya cumplido. Según esta orden, este tipo de sentencias se tienen que cumplir consecutivamente en orden. Por el caso viejo, el caso anterior, ya se habían evaluado los costos y las multas, así que lo único que puedo hacer con esos costos es mandarlos a la colección.
Mr. Torres-Suarez, you have 14 days from today to appeal anything you don't like about your sentence.
Señor Torres Suárez, tiene 14 días comenzando el día de hoy para apelar lo que no le guste sobre la sentencia.
It may be possible in the future to seek expungement of these convictions.
Puede ser posible que en el futuro pueda solicitar para que se haga una eliminación de estas condenas.
As a convicted felon, if you remain in the country, it is prohibited for you to own or possess a firearm and certain types of deadly cutting instruments.
Como ha sido condenado de un delito mayor, como al ser delincuente de delitos mayores, se le prohíbe tener o poseer armas de fuego y también armas mortales y de instrumentos para cortar.
Mr. Campbell, anything I haven't covered today?
Señor Campbell, ¿hay algo que ocurrido el día de hoy?
Nothing for the record. I do have one comment once we go off the record.
Nada para el acta, pero sí le quiero dar un comentario después de que se levante la sesión.
Mr. Cedric, anything I failed to cover today?
Señor Serwick, ¿me ha faltado de cubrir algo el día de hoy?
You already did go over appeal and expungement rights, correct? I might have just missed that.
I did.
Repasó los derechos y el tema de apelación, ¿verdad? A lo mejor me faltó, sí lo hice.
All right. Ms. Williams, Mr. Lindstrom, anything I failed to cover?
Señora Williams, señor Lindstrom, ¿hay algo que me faltó cubrir?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Creo que no, su señoría.
All right. Then
Bueno,
we will be adjourned. Good luck to you, Mr. Torres-Suarez.
se levanta la sesión. Buena suerte para usted, señor Torres Suárez.
Thank you.
And Phil, I will send you the journal entries for both these cases. If you can electronically sign, or at least in writing, let me know that you waive signature. Okay, thanks.
Olympia, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Judge. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Amanda, if you want to stay on and everyone else get off, we'll take a look at what's left on our calendar today.
Okay. All right, Denise told me that Dickens and Irwin were continued or off, and all we have left is Wrangle at 11.
Okay, let's see. They did not get the records on Dickens in time for the PSI, so we continued that one.
Okay,
Then you thought Irwin was the other one we don't have?
correct.
You know what? I should stop the
Oh, the